Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Sherwin, and I got my friend Ramon here, and we are inside the Prius studio. What's going on, Ramon?
Not much, man.
So Ramon, could you kindly share with us what do you do for a living?
Yeah, I'm a program manager with a job readiness program.
Okay. And the reason why I have him here with me is because we've been talking, and I remembered he had a Nissan Leaf, right?
Yes, that's correct.
And so, what year was it? And do you remember the spec?
Yeah,
and
it
stuff?
was a 2012 XLE Prius in Pearl. And the reason I got that car was I was curious about EVs. And it was around that time they had a really great. My brother's a salesman, so he had a friend he works for Toyota, but he had a friend working at Nissan that was, they had like a deal where it was like $179 a month for 2 years.
Oh wow.
So I did the math, and it was cheaper for me to drive the Leaf than my '01 Sentra. Like I was spending about $300 to $400 a month in gas on the Sentra. 179, no gas, so I figured I'd try it out.
So it kind of evens out.
I was like,
sorta.
it's a easy commitment, right, to try it out, to see if I like EVs and to see what they're like. So I went ahead and did a 2-year lease, in 2012. That same year, I think a month later, we got our first Prius, a 2012 Prius.
Okay.
So I had the Leaf, my wife had the Prius.
So what does the commute look like?
When I had the Leaf, I was only commuting from Lancaster to Palmdale.
Oh, okay. So Lancaster and Palmdale is an area north of Los Angeles.
Yeah, so it's the northern LA County. Lancaster is the last town in LA County before you hit Kern. And then from my house to Palmdale, it's about 10 miles.
Okay. So it's not too bad of a commute.
Yeah, so it was like 20 to 25 round trip. Sometimes I had to pick up my kid, or something. So it would be like 25 round trip from home to work.
So that the commute didn't really influence you into getting an EV. It was just more of, well, this is how much I'm paying for my Sentra now and gas.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, why not?
It was cheaper to get a new car.
Okay.
Even though my Sentra was paid off, right? And it was basically just to go to work. And I was like, well, wait a minute, it's more money to own the Sentra than the Leaf. So I went ahead and did it, and I figured it's not a huge investment to explore, because I was curious about the technology.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, did you like it?
I really liked it. I didn't like the design. Like I thought like the hatchback, the little, it was a little bit like too much like an
weird.
egg, like an egg. And then it was the Pearl. Like I didn't have much choice on what I got, because my brother got a car so both my brother and I got the last 2 Leafs that they had before that promotion went away, right?
Okay.
In 2012. So he chose the blue one, and then basically I had the Pearl. Like those were
And Pearl's white.
Yeah, white.
Okay.
Yeah, so those were the 2 options. I liked the Pearl more than the blue that my brother had.
Okay.
So it wasn't bad. I really liked, even though the range was not that great, but for 2012 it was actually.
Do you remember? Was it like 100?
It was 100 miles, right? Like, but that's, if you're an EV owner, that's like really conservative, right? Like
Yeah.
no AC, no,
Right.
like even road, right? Like, so.
Yeah, those EPA range, they play with you. They're like, oh, this is this many miles, but you
Yeah.
gotta consider that whenever they do these
Well,
EPA
especially in
ranges,
Palmdale, Lancaster in the summer, right?
Oh yeah.
Like it'd be at 100%, and then in the morning, 7:30, maybe going to work, turn on the AC, and my 100 went to like 80, right away, right?
Okay. So, how many years did you have it?
I owned it for the 2 years, so it was
Okay.
2012 to 2014. So when the lease expired, I just decided to return it, because I felt that even though it was 2 years later, the infrastructure was still not there.
Okay.
So like a lot of my charging, I did at home. So I ended up purchasing a secondhand EV charger level 2 that I installed in my.
Okay, so you got the
Yeah.
sort of faster one, better than the 110.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was free charging at all Nissan dealerships.
Oh.
That was one of the incentives of getting a Leaf, right? Like all Nissans, had a charging station, and you could go in and charge as, first come first serve, obviously.
Right.
And then towards my last year, they did add the supercharger, like where it was 480 volts.
Okay.
But it wasn't recommended for Leafs to be charged with the 480 that frequently. They really recommended it more as an emergency type situation because it will degrade the battery.
Okay, battery degradation.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I see.
I did try it twice. You know, it was supposed to be like 0 to 80% in like 18 minutes.
Okay.
I remember, you know, because owning an EV, right? Like obviously you're owning an EV because either, you know, you're curious or you're embrace the technology. But I really liked the car and I wanted to push it to its limit. So 90% of the time it was just Palm to Lancaster, but there was 3 times where I was like, I'm gonna take it out.
Yeah.
So there was one time where we drove from Lancaster to Long Beach, and that was pushing it, right?
Really?
Because even though it's like 90 miles or so.
So that's the distance from your area to Long Beach is 90 miles?
About 90 miles.
And then the range is 100 miles.
100 miles. So that was really pushing it, right?
Did you have the AC on?
And it was the summer. So I had to stop at Glendale Nissan.
Okay, so that was what, maybe halfway?
Yeah, about halfway there. So I had to stop at Glendale Nissan and level 2. So, you know, it was going to be at least an hour before I had anything that was significant at that time.
Okay.
You know, because the charging in the onboard charger of, you know, I don't know if your viewers know, but most of the cars, the chargers in the car, not the, you know, wherever you go, the charging, that just provides you the power. The actual charger is in your car. Yeah. So it depends on how many amps it has or whatever,
voltage.
Right? Yeah. So like the charger that the Leaf had at that time was low. So even though even though it was level 2, it was still slower than what cars are now, right? So I think an hour would give us about 25%, you know, give or take 2 hours. So what we did is we planned it. So then we went to lunch. So we left the car plugged in. We went to lunch and then we kind of extended it, right? Like I was, you know, get dessert, right? Like, cause I wanted. So
you could get as much as you can.
So that we could make it to Long Beach, right? And you know, we had lunch, everything was fine. The way back, I remember, was worse.
Did you stop at the same
we stopped at
dealership?
the same station.
Okay.
But we used more energy to get back because it was uphill.
Right. Okay. So now we're in your Toyota Prius, and it's a Prius Plug-in.
Prius Plug-in. So in 2014, after the Nissan Leaf expired, and I decided to turn it, not because I didn't like it, it's just I didn't want to buy it because what it gave me wasn't significant for me. Like 100 miles I didn't think was enough, right? But I liked the technology. I knew that at some point, you know, I will buy an EV, right? I just didn't like that there wasn't enough charging options. So in 2014, at the same time, we still had a 2012 Prius that my wife was driving. So when we decided to return, I wanted to get closer to EV, so we switched her, you know, I returned my Leaf, and then we traded in her her Toyota Prius, 2012 Prius, for a 2014 plug-in.
Okay.
Because they were also running a promotion where they were dropping, I think, like $5,000 off MSRP, and then with the $7,500 credit.
So $7,500 tax credit, and then there's a rebate that you got?
Toyota was offering a rebate because my brother sells for Toyota, so he said, "Hey, you wanna get a new Prius? You know, you could get the plug-in, you know, and you're actually gonna save money. You're gonna get." And we got money back for our Prius, our 2012 Prius. I think we got like $5,000 back or something like that because we had equity. So it was worth it for us just to kind of upgrade to a newer a car that was 2 years newer, and then it had the plug-in. It's only 11 miles range, right, with the plug-in, but I just thought it'd be cool to be like, oh, it's kind of halfways, you know.
I had 2 Priuses before, a 2011 and a 2016, and I really miss these cars. I was able to push these cars to like 59 miles per gallon, and that's like on bad traffic. And at some point, if you were to combine the battery, I was getting like 99 mpg. And I probably gone beyond it. It's just the display stops at 99.
And it does average too, right? So usually when on my way down, so I live in Lancaster and I drive to Downey, I charge every night, right? And it normally takes like an hour and a half, 2 hours to charge. It's level 1. So when
just the 110.
Yeah, it's the 110. So I sold my level 2
Okay.
because I didn't need it for this, right? So I actually flipped it, right? I once I sold my Leaf, I sold it on eBay and I got, similar to what I paid for it
Nice.
2 years prior, because this only requires a level 1, right?
Yeah.
So
Because 10 mile capacity.
yeah,
Or something.
yeah. So
Okay.
I charge every night. So on the way down, because it's mostly downhill and there's a lot of braking, so I get a lot of the regeneration.
Right.
So I normally do about close to 60 mpgs
Nice.
down. On the way up, I'm closer to 40.
That's still not
So
bad.
so the average,
Yeah.
my average,
It's like 50.
it shows you right here. So my average for the last 6 months is about 50. So it stays pretty
50.
consistent.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I do about anywhere from 2,000 to 3,000 miles a month driving with this vehicle.
Yeah. 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 I'm about 2,000 driving in to work and stuff per month. So cool. If you were to buy another EV, I mean, would consider buying another EV? Okay.
So at this point, I've driven this car so much. Like typically, and with my wife and I, like we usually have our main vehicle where we, when we go on trips and stuff with the kids and stuff, we have a main vehicle and we usually try to keep that new every 2 to 3 years, right? Like,
what do you currently use for like the family car?
a Highlander, Toyota Highlander hybrid.
Okay.
Toyota Highlander hybrid 2020. So right now we're looking to either trade it in for another one, but we're highly considering the new Toyota
BZ4X.
Beyond Zero 4X. Yeah, that's
what. Okay. Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're considering that, right? We also looked into possibly the Hyundai.
Ioniq?
Yeah.
Okay.
The Ioniq 5, I believe, that's fully electric. We're still exploring. The market is still, tough for new vehicles. Because, I keep up with my brother will give me, like, he still doesn't recommend getting a new car right now.
Interest rates are, whew,
yeah, man. So I normally luck out because my brother's in the business, so he's always giving me, like, insights, right? So most of the cars that I've purchased, I've either gotten with 0% interest or like 1.9 is the highest I've ever paid.
Nice.
Right? So right now everything's like over 3, like 2.9 or higher, right? So
that's actually pretty good considering.
Well, but what I'm used to paying, right? Like,
right.
So it's like,
because I'm hearing they're like 5%.
Yeah, because this one, when I got it in 2014, it was 0%.
Yeah, yeah.
The 2012 was 0.9, right? And then the Highlander is a lease, and we're also, we have a very good lease. We actually last year we had equity in the car.
Oh, nice.
Like
yeah. Oh yeah, because pandemic resale value, man. Yeah, I remember our 2011 Prius. It was our first Prius back in 2011. We didn't get a good deal because that was the tsunami that hit Japan. And so, and we waited months before we were able to get our Prius. Yeah. And so we didn't get a really good deal. I think we paid MSRP for it, but I guess the following year they had deals again.
Yeah, no, yeah. So I usually luck out with cars, and that's why I kind of stick to, like, preferably I would like to buy a Toyota, right? Because my brother works at a Toyota, right? And I always feel like I would get the best advantage that way, because it's really difficult for him to sell you a car right now as a family member for under invoice, right?
Yeah. Or even invoice,
even close to invoice, because the owners are just like, "There, no way. Like, I'd rather like pass on your brother, and then the next customer is gonna give me, X amount more, right?"
Yes.
But usually we're pretty close, like at invoice, or so that's why I normally buy whatever Toyota makes is what I buy, right?
Yeah, we initially were a Honda family, and then we met someone who is one of the finance managers, and we've been getting good deals with them, so we stuck with Toyota. And one of our favorite cars is the Toyota Sienna. I would never picture myself in the minivan until we actually got a Sienna, and I love it. And then the Toyota Prius, and we wouldn't have left Toyota had it not been for electric.
Yeah, electric.
If Toyota released an electric Sienna, oh my, we'll be on it. Or an full electric Prius, I'd be on it.
Yeah, and I think they probably eventually.
Yeah, probably in
probably in less than 5 years. because they are moving in that direction with most of their cars, right? Like they're trying to do more hybrids. Like even the Tundra is a hybrid.
Yeah.
Right. So like they are moving in that direction. I think the Sienna has a hybrid option too.
Yes.
Right,
I've Ubered in one,
Yeah.
and it made me miss it. Like I'm sitting here in your Prius, and I'm like, man, I miss my Prius.
They're fun little cars. So one of the things that I did notice that's a little bit different than the 2012 is that the acceleration is a little bit more sluggish. On the plug-in. So like trying to get into the freeway, like so
Interesting.
yeah. From what I remember from the 20, even though I've driven this for over 10 years, all right, close to 10 years, it feels a little bit more sluggish when you accelerate to try and get it, to freeway speeds. Yeah.
Okay.
But overall, I really enjoy watching my battery.
Right? It's like a game, right? So, I gave you a list of the questions. We went over those questions. Now I'm going to give you a little surprise question.
Okay.
So that I'm curious what your answers. Don't look at my notes, man.
I'm not.
All right. So hypothetically, if I came to you and said, "Hey, Ramon, man, I got you on your next car. I don't care how much it costs. It could be $100,000, $200,000, $1 million. I don't care how much it costs. I'm gonna buy it for you." What would that be?
Damn, that's a tough question. I think it would, I would love a electric truck. So I really like the Rivian R1T.
Really?
Yeah.
Any car, and you?
Yeah, I just, because I like cars, but I also don't like to have like an expensive car because I don't think it's like it's not something that, like, to me, like, okay, if it serves its purpose, but I don't need to spend that much money on something,
So
even though I'm not spending it, like, I would feel
sure.
bad, to take your money like that,
And this is why it's one of those surprise questions,
Yeah.
because I don't want you to prepare for it.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to share with you, I've interviewed a couple of other people. I asked the same thing, and they were both Tesla owners.
Yeah.
And their answers were they're sticking with Tesla.
Yeah.
And I said, are you sure? Like, I'll buy you anything. And then my niece, I started giving her examples like, you don't want a Ferrari, a Bugatti, Rolls Royce, nothing like that. AMG, when I said AMG, he's like, you know what? AMG, yeah, AMG and the G-Wagon.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
But I found it interesting. Is it because they gotten the taste of owning an electric car and the mindset became more of just what's practical?
Yeah.
Do you think it has something to do with it?
You kind of enjoy, well, even though I've only driven a Prius, a Leaf for 2 years, right? I enjoyed not having to worry about like the gas station, right?
But even if it was a few years ago, your mindset is like, I'm going electric. I'm not going gas.
Yes, I would go electric.
It's interesting.
Because surprisingly, like, I know the Teslas are faster, but one of the things that I liked about the Leaf was the acceleration, right?
Uh-huh.
Like, you would hit.
Oh,
that,
yeah, like
that DC, DC energy is like, wow. It's better than combustion,
Right.
So like I was like, wow, imagine if I had like a Tesla, right? Like, so I enjoy it. So when this is fully charged, this is you don't get the same with the plug-in, because after a certain mileage, the engine kicks in, right? So
I think it's after 25 miles
so
an hour
like,
or something like that.
so initially you could feel the
it
quick
picks up.
acceleration, but if you just floor it, then immediately the engine turns on, right? So, but on the Leaf, you
get the whole thing, right?
like everybody that I friends and family that was like, oh, try it out, right? Because this is 2012, it was kind of like a novelty for most people.
Yeah.
They were all amazed at how quick it was, right?
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you for spending time with me,
no
Ramon. This has been an awesome data gathering and just conversation.
No, thank you. I really enjoyed being here with you.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for watching. If you liked the video, please like, and if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe, and I'm gonna get some more interviews in future episodes. Thank you.